The law and order in Pakistan seems to be in its testing times. The Baloch Liberation Army or BLA has typically brought Pakistan to its knees. The chilling cries you heard are believed to be those of Pakistani paramilitary forces personnel. On Sunday, the BLA launched an attack on a Pakistani military convoy in Noshki district located in the southwestern province of Balochistan. BLA claimed to have killed 90 Pakistani military personnel in the attack. But the Pakistani authorities, which are as transparent as mud, claimed only 5 fatalities, 3 soldiers and 2 civilians. The numbers seem far from reality. Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Let's decode why the Baloch Liberation Army is fighting against Pakistan. A convoy of 8 buses was carrying Pakistani security personnel from Quetta to Taftan, a border town near Iran. Upon reaching Noshki, an explosive-laden vehicle rammed into one of the buses, causing a devastating explosion. Moments later, another bus was struck by rocket-propelled grenades. But this is not a standalone incident. Last week, Pakistan was in international headlines. BLA hijacked a train in Balochistan province and held passengers hostage for about 36 hours. Jaffar Express, which was running from Quetta to Peshawar, was carrying over 400 passengers, including security personnel. As the train was passing through a remote mountain pass, militants blew up the tracks and took over the train. BLA claimed to have killed 214 hostages. Survivors have recounted the harrowing ordeal during the 36-hour hijacking.
I cannot forget that scene. Those sounds of bullets, blasts and militants echo in my ears. As soon as I fall asleep, I start hearing those sounds and I get up and look around as if the scene is repeating in reality. These thoughts will not go away easily unless Allah blesses me.
The situation was worrisome. They would pick a few from one side and a few from the other side, take them out and shoot them. Few were begging them to spare them in the name of God.
The Baloch rebel group blamed Pakistan's government for the incident. BLA had proposed a prisoner exchange. The rebel group claimed Pakistan did not honor the 48-hour ultimatum and instead refused to negotiate and abandoned its soldiers. However, Pakistani authorities reported a different outcome. According to officials, a clearance operation was launched, resulting in the deaths of all 33 rebels involved in the hijacking. While the total number of casualties remains unconfirmed, officials reported that at least 30 people lost their lives, including the train's driver and 8 security personnel. Pakistan has suspended all train services to and from Balochistan since the 11th March attack. BLA claimed that after failing to defeat its fighters in combat, the Pakistani military had begun targeting Baloch civilians. Now see this report. According to human rights groups, Pakistani security forces reportedly killed the brother of the former chairman of the Baloch student organization. Balochistan, Pakistan's largest yet least populous province, has long faced marginalization. Despite being rich in coal, gold, copper and gas, it remains the country's poorest region. While these resources generate significant revenue for the Pakistani government, little of this wealth benefits the local population. The roots of the Baloch conflict trace back to Pakistan's creation in 1947. Initially promised independence through a treaty with the Karachi people, Balochistan was annexed by Pakistan in 1948 when Muhammad Ali Jinnah ordered military action to secure the resource-rich region. This breach of trust fueled long-standing resentment and laid the foundation for ongoing separatist movements. Now, what is the BLA? The Baloch Liberation Army or BLA is a secular separatist group that has emerged as a key force advocating for an independent Baloch state. Unlike many militant groups in the region, the BLA seeks political autonomy and control over local resources rather than pursuing a religious ideology. The BLA accuses the Pakistani state of exploiting Balochistan's wealth while subjecting its people to forced disappearances, torture and extrajudicial killings. Adding to the complexities, Balochistan is home to the Gwadar port, a vital hub for the $62 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC project linking southwestern China to the Arabian Sea. The BLA views Chinese investments as exploitative and a threat to Baloch autonomy, frequently targeting Chinese nationals and infrastructure linked to CPEC. Over the years, the BLA has claimed responsibility for several high-profile attacks. In 2018, the BLA targeted the Chinese consulate in Karachi. 2 years later, they attacked the Karachi Stock Exchange, which is partly owned by a Chinese consortium. In 2022, a BLA woman suicide bomber detonated explosives in Karachi, killing herself and 4 others, including 3 Chinese teachers. Last year, the BLA claimed responsibility for a deadly bombing targeting a convoy carrying Chinese nationals near Karachi's international airport. Balochistan's struggle extends beyond territorial disputes. It is a fight for economic justice and cultural identity. With over $1 trillion worth of untapped natural wealth, the region's control has geopolitical implications. The ongoing conflict highlights that military action alone cannot resolve deep-rooted grievances or secure lasting peace. The United States launching a wave of airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. It is America's biggest military operation in West Asia since Donald Trump returned to the White House in January. A social media post by the White House showed Trump, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and US National Security Advisor Michael Waltz watching over as the aerial attacks were launched. The strikes come just days after the Houthis announced plans to resume attacks on Israeli ships passing through the Red Sea, Arabian Sea, Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and Gulf of Aden. Resumption of attacks by the Houthis would have ended a period of relative calm in these waters that had started in January 2025 when an initial ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas came into effect. On his Truth Social handle, Trump warned the Houthis that the US won't tolerate attacks on its vessels and assets. He said the threat of attacks by Houthis was the reason why the US launched the aerial attacks on their bases, leaders, and missile defenses. He told the Houthis, "Your time is up and your attacks must stop, starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon them like nothing you have ever seen before." Trump told Iran, the Houthis' main backer, to end its support for the group immediately or be ready to face the consequences. On Saturday night, plumes of smoke could be seen rising from an attack site in Yemeni capital Sana'a after US airstrikes targeted it and the northern province of Sada, which is the rebels' stronghold on the border with Saudi Arabia. The Houthis vowed retaliation.
Now we will meet escalation with escalation. We will respond to the American enemy in its raids, in its attacks with missile strikes, by targeting its aircraft carriers, its warships, its ships. It will be included in the ban, and yet we still have escalatory options. If it continues its aggression, we will move to additional escalatory options, God willing.
Washington vowed to keep striking the Houthis until it ends attacks on shipping and continued its airstrikes the next day. Houthis said this on their counter-response.
The Yemeni armed forces targeted for the second time during 24 hours the US aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman in the northern Red Sea with a number of ballistic and cruise missiles and drones in an engagement that lasted for several hours.
So let's see who are the Houthis and why were they attacking ships sailing in the Red Sea until the Gaza truce happened. The Houthis are a political and religious rebel group that originated in northwest Yemen. They are part of Iran's axis of resistance against Israel, the US and the wider West, along with armed groups such as Hamas and Lebanon's Hezbollah. Formerly known as the Ansar Allah, the group emerged in the 1990s. It takes its name from its late founder Hussein al-Houthi. Its current leader is his brother Abdul Malik al-Houthi. Houthis seized swaths of northern Yemen, including its capital Sana'a, in 2014, sparking a continuing civil war. Even today, the Houthis retain control over Sana'a and the northwest of Yemen, including the Red Sea coastline. Most of Yemen's population lives in these areas, and the Houthis run a de facto government there that collects taxes and prints money, but it is not the country's internationally recognized government. Yemen's government, that has international recognition, is based in the southern port of Aden instead. After the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas on Israel triggered hostilities in Gaza, the Houthis started firing drones and missiles towards Israel. On 19th November that year, the rebels hijacked Galaxy Leader, an India-bound cargo ship in the Red Sea. In February 2024, another cargo ship, the Ruby Mar, was hit. It sank later. On 6th March 2024, 3 crew members were killed in a missile stack on the Barbados-flagged cargo ship True Confidence. Since 2023, the Houthis have targeted more than 100 commercial vessels with missiles and drones. While they initially said they were attacking ships connected with Israel or heading to or from there, many of the vessels they attacked had no connection with Israel. In response to US and UK airstrikes on their positions, the Houthis targeted ships tied to owners or operators in the US or UK. Major shipping companies stopped using the Red Sea, through which almost 15% of global seaborne trade usually passes. So the sustained strikes significantly impacted global trade. Throughout 2024, the Houthis forced ships to use a much longer route around southern Africa, lengthening their journeys and making them costlier. The Houthis stopped their attacks only when a Gaza ceasefire was declared in January, but have since threatened to resume them due to Israeli aid blockages to Gaza. The timing of the US military operation against the Iran-backed Houthis is interesting, also because it comes at a time when the US is ramping up sanctions pressure on Tehran while trying to bring it to the negotiating table over its nuclear program. Just a few days earlier, a letter was delivered from Trump to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei seeking talks over Iran's nuclear program. But Khamenei rejected the offer to hold negotiations with the United States. While Iran claims it has no intention to develop a nuclear weapon and its nuclear program is peaceful, a report by UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, shows the country now has close to 275 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%. The material is a short step away from weapons-grade levels of 90%. Western states say there is no need to enrich uranium to such a high level under any civilian program, and that no country has done so without producing nuclear bombs. Iran's refusal to come to the negotiating table with the US begs the question, is the US military operation as much a pressure tactic aimed at Iran as it is a bid to weaken the Houthis? While the Trump administration continues its military operations against the Houthis, it needs to remember that the group has outlasted powerful foes. The Houthis emerged stronger from a 7-year Saudi-led and US-backed military campaign against it. With the help of Iranian arms and training, the rebels expanded their capacity to take on Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates with drones and missiles. The rebels also survived airstrikes last year by Israel and the Biden administration. Now Trump joins a succession of US presidents since George W. Bush who have ordered airstrikes in Yemen against the Houthis, the local Al-Qaeda affiliate, or both. But the major difference now is that Iran's network of allied forces across West Asia is devastated. The US-designated terrorist groups Hamas and Hezbollah have been severely weakened in their conflicts with Israel in Gaza and Lebanon. Iran-backed Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad was replaced in December by Islamist rebels. and deliveries of small arms, drones and missiles to Yemen have been disrupted by frequent seizures at sea by the US and its allies. The Western security officials say Iran has found alternative smuggling routes. So how do these US airstrikes differ from those carried out under the Biden administration? Listen to this.
The difference is these were not kind of pinprick, back and forth, what ultimately proved to be feckless attacks. This was an overwhelming response that actually targeted multiple Houthi leaders and took them out. And the difference here is, one, going after the Houthi leadership, and two, holding Iran responsible. It is Iran that has repeatedly funded, resourced, trained, and helped the Houthis target not only U.S. warships, but global commerce, and has helped the Houthis shut down two of the world's most strategic sea lanes. What we inherited was a terrible situation, and this is one of what will be a sustained effort to right that wrong and to reopen global commerce.
Iran, on its part, has distanced itself from strategic and operational decisions of Houthis.
Once again, the US president attributed the operation carried out by the Yemeni Ansar Allah to the Islamic Republic in a way and warned the Iranian nation against supporting Ansar Allah. We have always declared, and today I declare as a representative of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, that the Yemenis are a free and independent nation in their own land and have an independent national policy. Ansar Allah, as the representative of the Yemenis, makes its own strategic and operational decisions. The Islamic Republic has no role in setting the national or operational policies of any part of the resistance front, including Ansar Allah of Yemen. We will respond to any threat if it becomes actual with a tough, decisive, and devastating response.
While Iran maintains that it only supports Houthis politically, experts say the Houthis cannot operate at this level without Iranian arms, training, and intelligence. To sum it up, the US military action against the Houthis threatens to remove one of Iran's last remaining levers of retaliation against Israel and the US. But the question still remains: will the US succeed this time? That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.